Hey, I'm Robert Pearson. This is Follow the Leader, and I'm continuing on the book review for X, Multiply Your God-Given Potential by John Bevere. The cover is backwards because I'm using the wrong-sided camera because Facebook is weird and likes to mirror flip the face side camera for no reason. No reason. That's why it looks like I'm in Europe right now. It's not the normal driving way. Anyway, car engine noise might be louder than normal. I apologize for that. No way around it now. The book. So I read 2 more chapters in the book. Yeah, I read 3 and 4. And so the way the book, the first thing that it talks about is identifying your calling, and then identifying your my mind just went blank. Calling, gifting, right? So your calling in the Lord, and then your gifting in the Lord, and then your so then it moved on to stewardship. I'm missing one now. Connecting the dots, and your gifts. Oh well, the point is your gifts. He spends a lot of time focusing on there is no secular, and really hammers that point home in the chapter I finished up. I mentioned it on the last one, but he hadn't explicitly mentioned the concept yet. And then in chapter 3, he really kind of dives in to articulate that it's all spiritual. It's all sacred, because we are sacred. We're bought with a price, and it's an important thing to know. So, yeah, that's it. Well, that's it. Sorry. Those are the things. And then so he moves from that into stewardship, because your gifts aren't your own. You're not your own. Your gifting is given to you by God for the purpose that it helps other people. And so he covers that in stewardship, is when you're a steward, you're watching over stuff that you don't own, and you're given authority as though you were an owner. You're given the authority to act in you're given the authority to act as an owner on his behalf, and he's not really going to check up on you, but you're going to answer to him for how you've handled things. You see this in the different parables about different stewards. You got the unjust steward in Jesus, Joseph, the way Potiphar dealt with him, where Potiphar only knew about what he was eating, and Joseph ran the house for it. In Genesis, like 15, 16, 18, somewhere in there. It might be more than maybe the 20 block. Anyway, it's been a while since I read it. So, yeah, that's it. So stewardship, right? And you don't own it. You need to manage it properly, as though you were an owner. And as you, and so he kind of expands the idea and talks about ownership. He gives the example of Joseph and some of Jesus' parables. And yeah, I had an epiphany recently while I was at work. Or I was thinking about work, and then the ideas from the book connected with that all at one go. And another way to look at stewardship from my own little blue-collar lens is you're a conductor. And that sounds like an orchestra, some orchestral term. As an electrician, they're not wires in the wall. They are conductors, because that word also includes bus bars. It's any piece of metal that conducts electricity, and it's designed to, rather. It's supposed to, right? Not like when things go bad or are done poorly. So they are any piece of metal that's designed to conduct electricity safely. And it'll have a certain amount of amperage that it's rated for to not melt. But the conductor can include bus bars or wires or some of the different options you have. Most of the time it's a wire. But those wires don't have any electricity inside of it. Like they don't, the moment you take the wire off of the source, there's nothing. There's no power. They're a conductor. They conduct power to where that power is useful, but they don't produce or own or possess that power. And they don't possess that power any longer than they're attached to the source. So the moment you take that wire and you disconnect it from the breaker in the panel, in your electric panel, the power's gone. It's done. The instant it disconnects, there's no power in that conductor. It's just copper sitting there with nothing. And it's a perfect imagery for stewardship, for the what the Christian has is in their the Holy Spirit endued with power, right? You will be endued with power. The power we have as Christians comes from our indwelling Holy Spirit. If we're not connected to the source, we have bupkis, nothing. Versus when we are connected to the source, that little piece of copper wire can have 277 volts of fun. And depending on how thick and how strong that wire is, depends on how much power can move through that wire without burning that wire out. It's just fascinating. It's an excellent imagery, right? If the wire is too small, you can't put that much electricity through it, and you're not going to do it because it wouldn't be safe. And in that same way, for God, right, if our stewardship is only at a lower level, He's only going to give us enough that we're not going to hurt ourselves, that we're not going to burn up. He won't let you, God won't let you overextend your own abilities to manage properly. You can mismanage stuff that you gain in your own strength all you want, but He's not going to give you more of that. You'll expend those resources and they're gone. God is a loving God, and He's not going to let us burn ourselves out, as it were, following the analogy. So no, it was just fascinating. It was a fascinating way to look at stewardship for me. It was as a conductor. If you're not connected to the panel, and that panel itself has to be connected to something else, right? It doesn't make electricity. There's one power plant or one power station out in the middle of nowhere, and it pushes out that power through all of those branch circuits to the neighborhoods, to the house's main panel, and then to each plug in that house, right? And if anywhere in that line breaks, this is different. Obviously, each Christian is connected directly to God through the Holy Spirit, but you understand the metaphor if we're talking about giftings that we have. As a Christian, you go to church, you assemble with the saints, you get a piece of wisdom from a radio preacher or from the preacher on Sunday, and then you share that at work. That's a very practical example of this in action. Obviously, it's not limited to that material realm of what we can hold and see, but it goes much higher. But yeah, it's just fascinating to me that as a steward, as stewards of what God has for us, we are conductors to kind of conduct His power, wherever we're connected to. So that's it. That's all I've got today. It's been a pretty solid book so far, with some fun and different insights, which is saying something, because I have 5 years of Bible college and a lifetime of sermons that I've listened to, and so it's rare to come across a little new, different insight, such as faithfulness equals multiplication. Because the parable of the stewards, right? The stewards are multiply. They're said to be faithful. You have been faithful with little, and I will give you much. They have been faithful in multiplying the gift they were given. And so we take our gift and multiply it, but once again, we do that in the Spirit of God. We have to be in communion with God and listening, and then follow what we're told. And He'll tell you to do some silly things sometimes, and when you're faithful to that, you'll find greater returns than you could have done in your own strength. It's pretty awesome. And that's all I got for you. The book comes out on November 17th. It's out for pre-order right now on his website. You can messengerinternational.com. or Google John Bevere. He'll turn up. Yeah, that's all I got for you. Don't take my word for it. I'll see you next time. Godspeed.